p.m. Good to see you, Vince. Long time no see.
You too, Dave.
It was a nice, pleasant surprise to see your name when it popped up there on the contact sheet. So
Yeah,
it's been a while. Looking forward
it
to
has. It
reconnecting at the
has
winery.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So I was just saying we've got about 10 folks joining us live here, and everybody, as you can see, can join in without having to be admitted. So what I'm going to do, just to be respectful of everybody's time this morning, I'm going to get started, and then as people join in, they can go ahead and be a part of this. I've mentioned in the chat window, everybody's going to get a recording of this 30-minute webinar, and you're going to get a copy of the deck that I'm going to show you, because I'm just going to go over the deck for 5 minutes just to give context. And there's a bit to read there if you wanted to, so it gives you the opportunity to go back later and read through that in just a little bit more detail. And then after that, we can get into the Q&A, because I think that's going to be the most important part of this. So let me just share my screen real quickly. And everybody let me know if you can see my screen. Everybody's on mute. Does everybody see my screen on the right there or in the
Yeah, we
center?
can see it, Dave.
Yes.
You can see it. Okay, perfect. So again, we've got
I
people
can see
joining
it.
us here. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to go through this deck for 5 minutes, real high level stuff, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A. So just who we are, AI Lead Furnace. We are a lead generation business built on AI. We're a sales and marketing company, meaning I've been in sales and marketing for 35 years, worked with some of the largest companies in Canada. I've seen what AI has done to the sales industry in the last 24 months in particular, working for a SaaS company for the last 3 years as their head of sales. And it's been kind of dumbfounding what's been going on. And I sat back and thought this could be perfect for the Niagara wine industry for a number of reasons I'll get into. And I wanted to kind of jump in and share this deck with everybody and share this information. Now, I'm a licensee of a software called High Level. So I own a marketing agency that is licensed through High Level to provide their software solutions to their customers. So let's just jump in and explain a couple of things. A really high level, here's the current lay of the land. Everybody knows what scripted AI is, meaning it's your voice prompt when you've got a voice recording answering your phone, you're leaving a voicemail for somebody, you're sending an email, you're sending a text, you're doing a chat. That's all scripted automation. What AI is taking that scripted automation and turning it into a two-way conversation. So at the surface, at the top, you've got software, then you've got tools, then you've got agents that you train to become your 24/7 agents, whether they be voice, chat, SMS, text. They're built on smart workflows. I'll talk about that. They can book meetings, reservations, book tastings. They can use a round robin calendar to do that. And I can talk about that if you need to hear more about that.
Dave, sorry to interrupt you. You were only
Yes.
seeing your Zoom screen. We're not actually seeing your presentation.
Oh, thank you. That's what I thought. Okay, so let me just jump right back here. Let me move this over. Bear with me 2 secs. Why did that not take? Stop share. Let me bring this over here. Escape. Okay. Not sure why I wasn't grabbing that second screen. Let's try it again. Okay, can you see the slide deck now? Or you're still seeing the Zoom?
Now,
Yeah,
You can
now we
see
can
it
see
says
it.
lead furnace now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, let me just view this. Put that back in the slideshow. Can you still see it, everybody? Awesome. So
Yep.
apologize for that. So this is where we were at, basically talking about the world as we currently know it with automation and what two-way automation is. This is AI, what AI is meant to do. The bots and agents are meant to act as a real-time, intelligent communication tool between yourself and your clients, or between yourself and your production facilities in the back end. And I think I've gone over this, so I'm not going to go over this slide again, but you can come back and have a look at it at a later date. For those of you who are keeping up to speed with AI and what's happening on a day-to-day basis, there's things called techno stacking, and techno stacking essentially allows you to create bespoke AI solutions for your winery. So to give you an example, I mentioned I'm a licensee. My agency is a licensee of High Level. High Level is SaaS, software as a service, and I white label their software, meaning that basically I'm rebranding their software as my own. Below that software, they have their own suite of tools. So those tools might be, a voice agent. It might be a chat agent. It might be an SMS agent. It might be a workflow. It might be a CRM. It might be a fulfillment element. It might be a retail element, selling products online. There's a number of tools that are available. The good part about software as a service is that the really good softwares have what they call open API, which allows that software to talk to other softwares that may not be in their suite or in their house of softwares. Why does that matter? Well, I'll give you an example. A lot of people currently are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot as their AI tool and want to integrate that with other solutions. You can't integrate if you don't have an open API on the back end. So that's a lot of technology talk that basically says if you want to create a truly bespoke system using software that's out of the box with our SaaS product, but maybe you want to use a Pointwise, which is a really superior appointment setting tool. If that's one that you're currently using, you want to stay with it. It's got an open API. We can make the two work together so that you're using that tool along with other tools to create a truly bespoke situation. But underneath all of these tools, again, that's where your AI agents live, your bots. And those agents need to be trained. Now, what's really interesting, if you've been staying on top of the world in the last 2 weeks in particular, the tools that are being created right now are allowing anybody and their uncle to develop AI, to develop widgets, to develop tools. You simply type into the prompt, I need a tool to do this for me. It will create it. And then next thing you know, it's up on the web and everybody thinks this is a reputable company because, hey, there's a tool. There's something in the App Store that I can get to download and make my life easier. The problem is, and I'm going to get into that, but before I get into that problem, let me just, if you haven't noticed, here's an example of Salesforce, which is the largest software company in the world for CRM, for sales organizations. And they're rebranding themselves as Agentforce because they recognize that not only do they have the software, but now all these AI agents, they anticipate having over 1 billion agents created by their clients by the end of this year. So that gives you a sense of the scope of how many companies are embracing not only software for sales and marketing for their companies, but how they're using AI agents to start doing the manual processes that humans used to do. And I promise I'm going to get into this real quickly as to how it's going to impact the wine industry here in Niagara. But something you've got to realize, there's a real problem in what's happening here. And when everybody and anybody can start creating bots and tools, there's going to be bugs. There's going to be bugs in the software development. And unless you have a really good tech team on the back end that's sorting out those bugs, that will bog you down in a real fast hurry. There's also just understanding the setup of the AI tool itself. There's 100 different toggle switches that need to be turned on and off, depending on your use case. And if you're not up to speed with how to set those toggles correctly, the software may be working properly, but the actual solution may not be giving you the outcome that you're looking for, which again can just frustrate you to no end. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking about today is just the management service that I provide in helping wineries manage all of these tools so that it becomes an easy win for them, not just another pain point in their life, which they don't really need. So talking about that, why would a bot hallucinate? If you're not familiar with that term, when bots give the wrong reason or the wrong answer, the wrong solution, it's because of a number of different reasons. But one main reason is the lack of specific or accurate training data. So I'm going to share with you a bot in a couple of seconds that you can all log into with your phone and play with as we're going through the rest of the conversation. And I want you to start testing it and asking it questions and seeing if it actually hallucinates or give you a funny answer. It's actually designed to do that in a couple of spots. And The reason being is if you don't understand how to train the bot and you give it two sets of conflicting information in two different knowledge bases, that will confuse it. And part of the training of the bot is making sure that you're really clear on the information you're feeding to it, because it's kind of like a garbage in, garbage out solution. It can do extremely efficient, well done communications with your customers, but at the same time, if you confuse it, it can give inaccurate information. So a lot of the cases, you might have two or three knowledge bases you're using to train a bot, and there might be a conflicting bit of information in there. And over the course of 2 to 3 to 4 months, there's always going to be iteration where you might look at a conversation and go, oh, why did it give that answer? And we've got to go back into the knowledge base and see where the conflicting information is so that it gets really, really clear. And again, I apologize, high level here. You'll be able to go back and read through this at your leisure. But if you look at the wine industry right now, there are basically two sides to AI. There's the production side and there's the client-facing side. We're here today to talk about the client-facing side because that's where my forte is. But as the back end starts to develop, I know in the wine country, in California specifically, there are local areas that are getting together to use big data, and I know they do a higher volume of product, but they're using collective big data within their organization or community. Like we have the Niagara Wine Association here. So imagine they've got collective big data that they've been collecting for the last 10 years, and now they're using that data in the production of their wine to be able to know when exactly to move on in the fermentation process. When you start looking at the automation of your wine, that's when you can look at AI and how that's going to help that side of it. That's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the marketing side and dealing with your clients and looking for the easy wins that are out there and get a sort of a foot into what AI is. So some quick wins that we can talk about today are voice agents. As I've talked to, and I've talked to probably 20 different wineries, if not close to 30 different wineries over the last 6 weeks. And some of the real problems are missed calls, meaning that I've been sitting there while in the winery while calls are not being answered. And every time a call doesn't get answered, that's a lost sale. Because if you can imagine, if you've got a group of tourists coming from Toronto, they're driving down the road, they're at the Hare, and they're asking themselves, okay, what's down the road here? Oh, I'm going to go to Jackson Triggs, and they call Jackson Triggs, but nobody answers, right? They call Ferox, nobody answers. Oh, now they've called Peller, and somebody answers Peller. They're going to Peller because they can get their booking. They're doing this as they're driving down Highway 55 to go to their next winery. So the more opportunity you have to engage with the customer and never miss a call, this is the first easy win. And when you're talking about voice AI agents, you simply have your current business line, you call forward that to one of our lines, and it can take 7 calls at once and be able to not only answer the question, book a tasting, book a meeting if it needs to, book an event, estimate, provide estimates if you do events that are private events. It can do whatever you train it to do, but the bottom line is you're never going to miss an opportunity again. And the AI records every communication that happens. So it will take a complete conversation that AI will have with a customer, and it will summarize the key points. And you can go back at the end of the day, and you can look at every call the AI answered in the CRM. And for those of you who don't know what a CRM is, it's a customer relationship management software program like Salesforce, HubSpot. I'm very familiar working with those, and that's why I got really excited about what High Level offers, because with those other softwares, you might say to yourself, well, I heard there's a free version of it. It's free until you get to 1,000 contacts, and then beyond 1,000 contacts, you have to start paying, and it gets expensive. So with the software that we use, it's unlimited, meaning that your calls can keep receiving customers. Now you're building a database. Every caller that comes in, it recognizes the phone number. It's got that right away. It's going to be trained to reach out and ask for their email address if they're trying to book a wine tasting. So now you can follow up with them. It might have a tag in there that says, hey, what are you more interested in? Whites, reds, whatever. And we can start building follow-up campaigns based on what their selections are. So there's a lot of really interesting things that we can do from a sales and marketing perspective, not only just answering the phone and booking appointments, but how do we follow up with that? Your chatbot is the exact same thing. I did a deep scan last week, and it was kind of funny. one of the wineries called up and said, "You've listed us on here, but we don't have chat on our website." And I said, "Well, who's your software provider? Who are you hosting your website with?" And they mentioned GoDaddy. And I said, "Well, GoDaddy in the last 6 months has enabled AI technology in the back end of their software suite now." So what that picked up was that there was potentially some AI in the back end that you're not even aware of that's happening. So what was interesting is out of the 77 wineries that we scanned your websites for AI capabilities. I think the number was there was 8 that were currently using any form of AI, whether knowingly or unknowingly, and the rest are still kind of, I don't want to say archaic, but you're using software that's out of date as far as how you're going to communicate with your customers in the future. And then I talked about CRM real quickly, and we can get into this as we get into the questions. But I've basically built for 3 years with the last company that I was the head of sales for. I built their CRM in HubSpot, and I got to build workflows and sequences and see how that operates, and looked at A2P authentications. And these are all things that are really super important if you're in marketing and want to communicate with your customers and not get blacklisted in the future when you do an email blast to your customers. If you don't have those things in place, if you're using Microsoft 365, for example, you can get your whole email blocked for a very long time if you're not A2P authenticated. And if you don't even know what that is, that can become a problem for you as you try to communicate in the future, because the world is changing very, very rapidly. And because of all this AI, it is really screwing up the ability for companies to market the way they once did. So if you're going out into the market right now and looking, you could use my affiliate link. You could get high-level software yourself, and it would cost you about $249 Canadian a month. I offer a package for $500 a month where I come in and I set up all the bots, and I offer tech support, and I keep this thing running for you on a month-to-month basis. And then I offer a little bit of a more bespoke system where I come in and help you with your sales and marketing if that's what you want to do, build lead funnels and that sort of stuff with AI. So that's a high level. Everybody, if you've got your cell phones right now, use the QR code. Go ahead and just scan that and link into that, because when we get into the rest of this conversation now, and I'm going to open it up to questions now, what I want you to be able to do is to be able to play with this at your leisure and then come back and ask questions to me. Because what I did was I set up a fake winery called Niagara AI Estates Winery. You can integrate and talk to the phone number on there and talk to the AI voice receptionist. You can book appointments for tastings. You can ask all sorts of questions. There is the chat, which will do the exact same thing if you prefer chat. And then the SMS, we're just getting our authentication set up with the SMS. So the SMS isn't working yet. But hopefully that'll be working within the week. The funny thing is I set this company up on May 22nd, and it takes 45 days for a new company to get your A2P authentication, and then 14 days to approve that. And we're currently in the waiting zone for that. So these are some questions that were sent to me ahead of time. I'm going to first open up, have a look at these questions. I'm going to open the floor. Take your mics off mute. Does anybody have a question off the top of their head that they want me to answer for them right now? If not, I can just jump into these questions and answer them all. And can you not unmute? Let me see if I can do this. Let me jump out of the share screen again. Stop share. Okay. All right. So everybody, Vince, you're off mute. That's good. So you can all unmute yourselves. Let's just open this up to a conversation. And Vince, I know you're using AI right now at the winery. So maybe you can tell us how you're using it and any questions you might have with it.
Well, it's a little bit at its infancy. I guess when I say on the winery side of our business, John, our owner, who's on the call as well, he's more ingrained with his own business. And we're looking to do some more development here to help facilitate exactly what you're talking about, which is answering phone calls, follow up, and more data collection in the sense of getting emails, getting follow up with the, birthday cards or whatever it may be to kind of interact with the consumer more often than not, even if it is a year later. Like we do events, we want to follow up with our event leads, corporate contacts, personal guests, anything we can do to keep that conversation going and keeping our brand top of mind with the consumer.
And that is exactly you've hit the nail on the head. And the pain point that I've seen as I visited wineries is most smaller wineries don't have the bandwidth, the people to do all that. Especially now with with what's happening at the LCBO and then removing the American wines, that opened up a slot for more Ontario wines. And I was a little bit dumbfounded knowing that, okay, so now you've got a winery owner who is short staffed, who's now traveling around to 500 plus LCBO. Uh, what are they? The vintages managers meeting those folks, and I said, "Well, tell me, when you sell them a case of wine, do they have a reorder? Like when it gets down to 5 bottles, the SKU gets down, and you get notified electronically. Oh no, I've got to call and follow up. Okay, so here's where a great use case is. They already had a full-time job at the winery. Now they've got these 500 LCBOs they got to take care of. So even if you did send somebody out to do that, be it yourself or somebody else, you go out and meet all these people and you sold them a case of wine. What the AI can do now is it can follow up with that person and say, hey, you bought a case of X and, how's sales been going? Here are some key points. Do you need to reorder another case? We have this promotion coming up, but that's all done with AI. So nothing falls through the cracks. I talked to one winery last week who said, now I've got to go hire somebody for $60,000 to go out and follow up with the LCBOs. And I'm like, so what are they going to do? They're going to ask those questions. Well, the good news about AI is not only can you do that through a workflow that we build into the AI that sends out emails to the individual because they're in your CRM. We are getting very close to the point with the high level software where they're going to be having voice outbound. So the same inbound voice AI that's going to be answering calls coming into the winery. Now we'll be able to make a sales call outbound and say, hey, Vince, it's Dave from AI Winery. You took a case of our Shadow de Charmes last month, or Shadow, whatever, Chardonnay. How are sales? And based on that response, okay, great, you're down to 5 bottles. Would you like us to send you another case? Right? That's all included in AI when it's built out, and you don't have to go hire that person for $60,000. So that kind of blew her mind a little bit when I explained that to her, and right off the bat she saw, okay, this is a serious opportunity to be looked at. The other one, and I talked to another winery and who was saying one of the challenges with the all the 5,000 corner stores that now can sell wine. A lot of them, not a lot of them, there are several that speak a second language that's not English. So you can set up with AI, you can take all your scripts, all your information, all your knowledge base, put that in English, but then select if you said, hey, 50% of my stores have a French-speaking manager. You can select the language, and you can, when they call in or interact with your bot, you can give them a French language bot or Spanish or Cantonese, whatever the language is. And when I showed a PointWise, which was another software earlier, I'll make this point. One of the reasons why they're a more superior software is because they offer more languages. I think they're up to about 200 languages. So when you think about all the different AI solutions out there, there's not going to be one that fits everybody's complete solution today, but it might as it evolves, because it's all evolving. It might in 6 months from now answer that or be that complete solution for you. So, what I would say to Vince's comment is you need somebody on top of this on a day-to-day basis. And this is the frustrating part, is that most people don't have the bandwidth or the time to do it. This is what I've been doing for 3 years. And I've always said, I'm born and raised here in Niagara, been here for 58 years. I would love to be a part of the wine industry. And I see this as my golden ticket to be able to help my friends in the wine industry to start with, and some new friends, because I understand the industry from a consumer standpoint. I've been here and evolved with it from when my mom worked at the Penn Center at the Baby Duck Peller retail outlet when it was 1970. So I've been around the industry for a long, long time. I've worked with Andrew Peller in years past in a number of their different business units, and been really excited to be a part of it. So now here we are today. If there's any questions anybody has specifically, throw them out now.
Question?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, in this day and age of AI, but also in our industry, speaking from a place of authenticity, how are we going to be able to align with a bot doing this communication and outreach and connection with our consumers, and then somehow link it back to real people and understanding what's been happening, left hand, right hand kind of thing, and being transparent and authentic?
That's an excellent question. So the way I would respond to that is, first of all, the bot, it isn't the chat that you're thinking of in the past. You train the bot to have a knowledge base that allows it and gives it emotional intelligence. So when you train, just like you would train one of your employees, you say, here's a list of all the things you need to know. It's not just frequently asked questions, but here's a list of all the things you need to know. Here's a back catalog of all of our wines since we've been keeping records, in case somebody calls and says, can you tell me about the 2012 Cab Franc you've got? Because I've got it on my wine cellar and I can't remember how much you paid for it, what it pairs with. I can't find it on your website. If we can give the information into the system, then it can output the information, and you can create not only the tone and texture of the voice that's answering the calls, you can have it be on brand with the emotional intelligence that you want the bot to have. Some companies want a very straightforward business-like bot. I would imagine London Born, if they were to do this, would want the English accent bot to make it feel like it's one of their team members. And to your point, you can look at how you're building these things out and then iterate to make sure you're getting the right responses. Now, at the end of the day, I would show you would all have access, if you're using our software or the high-level software on your own, you would have access to a dashboard. In the contacts dashboard, you would see on a day-to-day basis how many interactions, both via chat, email, and voice, the bots had that day. And you would be able to look again, the AI would summarize all those interactions. So now you're saying, well, how do I hand this over to, let's say somebody's calling about an event at your winery. They want to book a wine or do a wedding. So they want to come and learn more about the winery. As soon as you have the keyword wedding being announced, there's a whole knowledge base for weddings. And we're getting close. We've got, just so we all know, we've got 10 minutes left on the clock before this window will close. So I'll try to answer this as best I can. As soon as you use a keyword like weddings, now it goes to a new knowledge base, or it could even hand off to another AI bot that's a specialist to help guide that individual into getting to book an appointment to come and meet with your wedding specialist. So your wedding specialist might be somebody who's doing a wine tasting right now. It might be you, and you might be busy doing something else. But the point is, the AI assistant booked a meeting for you. It used the tone, it captured the data, so that now part of the workflow says, oh, I just booked an appointment. It's going onto your calendar. You're getting an email saying, oh, here's a new wedding client. They're coming in on X date. We found a slot on your calendar. It was open based on the parameters we set up for your calendar. You wake up in the morning, somebody could have at midnight said, oh, I just heard about Malabar. I want to check out their events. And they did it at 12 o'clock at night. You wake up in the morning and you can see that, oh, I've got somebody coming in at 2 o'clock today to check out our winery for the potential wedding event. And again, you can even build in estimates based on, if there's parameters that you could set that would say, hey, if you had 100 people, this is what it might cost. I don't know. This is all bespoke, so it depends on the solution you're looking for. But that was an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Tammy, do you have any other questions you want me to answer before I jump into the list? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm sure your list will cover it, and I can always reach out if I have anything else.
Okay, so let me jump in. Can you let me pull this over again? I'm going to just refresh the. Actually, I'll just ask the questions because you're all going to get the deck, and it'll be easier to have everybody on the big screen. If you do want to jump in, because I've got about 8 minutes left, jump in with a question or follow up after we're done with an email or a call, and I'm happy to answer those questions. So we talked about what AI is and how it can help your winery. Can AI help me respond to the phone calls? We talked about that for too short staffed. Again, AI can take the existing phone line you have right now and be able to answer 7 inbound calls at once with 24/7 accuracy, the same personality that you want to have consistently. So we talk about, Tammy, about branding. You create the brand presence that you want to have, and it's consistent. It never has a bad day. So that's really, really important from a sales and marketing standpoint. How would the AI know what to say to customers? So again, we build into the knowledge base keywords that reference different knowledge bases based on the input we put in for that keyword. So if it wants sommelier, you can create the Malivore sommelier, and that AI assistant can help anybody at a dinner party who's sitting down having a bottle of wine going, oh, this is a fantastic wine. What do I want to know more about this wine? Well, they can call you can put on your current labels if you wanted to. You could put a QR code on your current labels that would take that. We can generate QR codes for you. You can take it right into the AI sommelier, and it can answer all of its questions. And you can go into whatever great detail you would like. You can suggest recipes. You can take it as far as your mind wants to take it. We talked about.
I'm going to jump in with a question for you, Dave.
Yes.
Just because, as you're saying some of these things that, you're putting all the candy out in front of us, and it's like, this is looking really sweet. I'm also referring back to the earlier slide where you identified $500 a month. Yep. Is that forever? Is that an ongoing?
Yeah, it's ongoing because you're paying for the services. I pay for the services on a monthly basis, and I license those back out to my clients. So if you were to just say, nope, Dave, thank you very much. You've introduced me to High Level. I'm going to go look up High Level right now and see what it's all about. It's going to cost you $97 to subscribe. It's going to cost you $97 to use their agents. And there's going to be upsell fees for all of the other tools that you might use, like phone lines and various pieces of the CRM. It's going to cost a small winery, that's in US dollars. It's going to cost you about $250 a month to subscribe to that service. What I'm offering to do, and I'll tell you right now, it's taken me 3 months of training to understand the software, knowing that it was very similar to software that I used for the last 3 years, finding the bugs, understanding where the toggle switches are to turn on and off when a bug occurs. And then, you can ask yourself, is that extra $250 to have Dave do this for me worth peace of mind? Because at the end of the day, I become an extension of your organization, and I manage your AI tools for you. The AI tools themselves are constantly evolving. Like this is only new in the last 12 months to consumers, to businesses, to be able to have these tools. So they're constantly going to be evolving. We might see 6 months from now, the world's best outbound voice agent. And I got to tell you, last weekend I saw in China, it was posted as an example. It was an example of 2 live AI avatars on screen doing what was like a shopping channel situation. And the 2 of them were talking to each other like 2 hosts. I will tell you right now, you would not be able to tell it was not 2 human beings speaking to each other, answering the live chat. And this live stream did $7.6 million in sales in 27 minutes. Like, yeah, that's where it's going to. So I went and checked out the tools they were using, and you can go out and create right now. I can take a picture of you, Tammy, and I can put that into that software and right now create an avatar of you, so that, let's say you want to have an avatar video answering your chats as opposed to a photo with text. That might be the next evolution of this. And we might say, well, that software is over there. How do I make that work? Well, that's my job, is to go out and see what would be best for the industry and see how we can bring that into High Level. And if everybody did it, then you would have to pay for that integration to be built. It can happen, but you'd have to pay for it to get built. I'll give you an example. I work with some HVAC clients here in Niagara as well. And there's a software they all use called House Call Pro to do all their live technician scheduling in the field. And they all love it. They all use it. And I said, okay, well, they both have an open API. So I invested in the software development to have the 2 talk together, so that now all of my HVAC companies can take advantage of that tool. So there's, to a certain degree, because it's evolving, you want to work with a partner who's investing back into the evolution of it, so that you're always going to be sort of getting the best of what's out there. And I think that's what we need to have. I mean, when I saw that, I literally thought, this is how cool would that be, is to get onto my phone, onto your website, and virtually talk to somebody in a video like we're doing today.
Is there an opportunity as thinking as a community of Niagara wineries from Ontario Wine or from wineries of Niagara Lake or Niagara Benchlands wineries in a way that can lessen the costs ongoing or an element of it, because there's certainly going to be some things that are going to be similar, or is this a competition based?
That's a really good question, Tammy. And what I would say is this. If any one of your companies wanted to hire somebody like me to come in and do this for your company, you're going to be paying six figures. Okay. So put that into context with the $500 a month, which is basically the entry level where I'm helping you run all of this. I think it's a damn good deal. That's just my perspective. And I think if anybody took the time to see how long it takes to put all these tools together and the experience you need to run it, you're not going to find anybody under six figures to do that for you. So are there potential savings down the road? The potential savings come in. We don't know what's coming 6 months down the road. So the partner that you want to have, you want that partner to be able to grow with you, not to have you saying, "Oh, this is exciting," but I don't have the bandwidth to keep up with it. Because trust me, it's a full-time job keeping up with it. You know what?
I believe that, and I appreciate your desire to do this, because I think it takes a very special talent to do what you're doing. And I guess what I'm asking is not so much from a financial perspective as it is also from a community. Like, we are a community of wineries that we all want to sell our wine, but we all are improved by all of us raising the tide,
exactly,
boats, right? So I'm wondering if there's a way in which there's a connection.
I would love to do that, and we're going to explore that. I will say this webinar is going to shut off automatically within 30 seconds. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. This is a conversation to be continued. I really wanted to kind of whet everybody's appetite, see who was interested in having the conversation. So everybody, I'm going to send a follow-up piece to this. If you'd like to have a phone call and have a one-on-one conversation,